Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the third preview video of the Divisional Round. As I mentioned in the last video you guys just watched, I'm going to be doing the Rams against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That game is here in Tampa. That game is going to start at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I know we've all been used to having that game by 1 p.m. Eastern. So we do get a couple hours either to sleep in, to go out for lunch, and then kind of get settled in to watch some football Sunday afternoon through the evening. Now, these two teams did face earlier this season. The Rams actually beat the Bucks 34 to 24. That game was in LA, and that happened way back on September 26th. So obviously a lot of things have happened between now and then. The Bucks have lost some players like Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown, and the Rams gained some players like an Odell Beckham and Von Miller. So these teams look different right now, and they're definitely playing a lot different than they were back at that point. Now, going into looking at the injury reports for this game, there are some obviously notable names on both sides. First of all, Andrew Whitworth is out for LA, which is a huge loss, in my opinion, when you look at this from a matchup base point, because that's usually the side that Shaq Barrett lines up. Even if it's their rookie Joe Tryon Shianka working in some reps as well, that's a vulnerable spot for the Bucks defense to attack. Not only with their really great edge rushers, but they can run. Todd Bowles is not afraid to throw blitz packages at the opposing offense. So that's a vulnerable side to the line, and I would not be surprised if Shaq Barrett were to take over this matchup at some point because of the backup that's in place for Whitworth. The other guy, he missed last week's game. He's going to be missing this week's game. That is going to be Taylor Rapp, who is out with the concussion. Now they are out. They are down to their backup safeties. Eric Weddle's back on the team. I talked about this last week in the Rams Cardinals preview video, and I think the Bucks will do a better job of attacking them vertically. So don't be surprised if they do take some shots to Scotty Miller and Jalen Darden throughout the game, because those backup safeties aren't there. I mean, the backup safeties are in there, so that could potentially lead to like miscommunication issues right before the snap. And all it takes is one of those burner guys like Scotty Miller or Jalen Darden to sneak past them, and Brady's connecting with them on a 40-plus yard touchdown. And then Buddy Howell is questionable with a hamstring. He's a backup running back, so that's not too major of a concern, especially when you saw how Cam Akers was running last week. Now, for the Bucs side, there's some really good names I'm watching between now in this game on Sunday. Now, first of all, Ronald Jones is out with an ankle. Brashad Perryman is out with a hip and abdomen. Now, these following players are questionable. Cyril Grayson with a hamstring, not that big of a note for me. He's a backup wide receiver. Now, there's two guys I want to go ahead and talk about that are questionable. One is Ryan Jensen with his ankle injury, as well as Tristan Wirfs with their ankle injury. Those two guys are very important to the offensive line. Obviously, Ryan Jensen has been Tom Brady's center throughout the year, so there's the comfortable playing with each other, getting the ball snapped to Brady. That's there. They don't want to probably rely on a backup. And Ryan Jensen is such a ferocious blocker. He plays the game with tenacity. He's the type of player you want to have in the interior line to deal with an Aaron Donald. He did, from what I understand, did get in most of the practice reps, and he sounds like he should be good to go. Now, the biggest one, though, is Tristan Wirfs. So we saw him try to get back in the game. He just couldn't stay up on his ankle. He did get some work in at practice today, but they does sound like he's like a true game time decision. The last I saw on it, it sounds like they are going to take it up to a pregame workout, and then after the pregame workout, they're going to make the decision. Now, if Wirfs plays, that means he's less than 100%. So that's something to watch when Von Miller lines up there against him. Is he going to be able to keep Von Miller contained? Leonard Floyd's a good edge rusher. To be honest, if I'm the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris for the Rams, if Wirfs can't go, or if you're noticing that he can't really put any like strength, any pressure onto his ankle, I'm not afraid to line up Aaron Donald on that side and have him bull rush Tristan Wirfs on a bad ankle, or even if it's a backup, do that too. So there can be a variety of ways they can attack that side of the line if Wirfs is not up to 100% and it's obvious his play is not at all pro level, which it has been throughout the season. So that's something that I am definitely keeping an eye on as far as their status on game day. Now, a couple other guys that have been listed as questionable: Sean Murphy-Bunting with a hamstring. He didn't play last week, but they really needed him in the lineup because the Rams have Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson. Those three guys can run a variety of different three sets, and the Bucs need Sean Murphy-Bunting in the slot so they can have Jamal Dean and Carlton Davis on the outside deal with things, because otherwise they're going to have to get creative with that on defense. Now, Jason Pierre-Paul was listed as questionable. It says non-injury related or personal reason. I hope everything's okay for the personal reasons, but I am going to assume Jason Pierre-Paul plays. So let me go ahead. Now I'm through all the injury reports, and that obviously that took a lot longer than normally, because I do think some of these names, or if they're not playing or if they're for sure out, do have an impact on the outcome of this game. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to take a look at the Rams offense against that Bucs defense. Taking a look at the Rams offense. Now, typically during the season, they're a team that leaned on the pass, as you can see from the numbers, right? Average 372.1 as a whole, that's 9th in the NFL, but the rushing was only 99 yards a game, which is 25th. Now, as I've always talked about with the Matthew Stafford, he needs a good running game. Like, if you lean on him too much, that's when those interceptions happen. He's got the plenty of arm talent, as we've seen, but when you're kind of throwing the ball too much with him, it kind of can be a detriment at times. So the Cam Akers making this miracle return as early as he did off the Achilles injury and looking like he did last week, it's going to do wonders for that offensive line. Obviously, missing Whitworth is going to be huge, but if they can somehow get the running game going, that should help out Stafford. But if they need to depend on it, it's a top 5 passing attack, as we've seen. They average 273.1 yards a game, which is 5th in the NFL. And then as a whole, they put up 27.1 points a game. That's tied for 7th. So they almost average 4 touchdowns a game as an offense. And then the last time they did play this team, they did put up the 34 points. But I mean, in that game, I know for sure Sean Murphy-Bunting was not in that game. I want to say Jamal Dean was missing some time as well on the defense. So again, though, that's why you want a Sean Murphy-Bunting out there, because they need their full arsenal of weapons at the cornerback group to help contain that passing attack. Now, when you look at the Bucs defense, though, when you look at the numbers, it kind of doesn't match up favorably in their way. As far as the total yards per game, the Bucs defense has given up 331.5. That's 13th in the NFL. Really good against the run, right? Only give up 92.5. That's 3rd best. It's because they have a really great linebacker duo in Levante David and Devin White, who have sideline to sideline speed, and then they got the big hog mollies and Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, and then they got Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul on the outside. You really like what they got right there, and that's how they're really good at keeping the opposing rushing attack in check for most of the season. Passing yards a game, though, they've been giving up 238.9. But, you know, like, the reason why I think that number's high is just because, like I keep on saying, the cornerbacks in the secondary, even some of the safeties, were out in and out of the lineup. But if they get Sean Murphy-Bunting in there, that can help them get creative with Mike Edwards. They are playing Jordan Whitehead more up in the box, too, to help with that type of stuff. He's their hard-hitting safety. And obviously Antoine Winfield can cover the back end of the defense. They have the weapons, I think, to help battle out with this passing attack. Now, points per game, they're really good at limiting teams from getting in the end zone. They only give up 20.8, which is tied for 5th. So how I see this day going, though, for them, the Rams offense, I think they're going to find some success in the air, because even if Sean Murphy-Bunting does play, he's questionable with a hamstring. So hamstring injuries can obviously flare up. That does mean he's less than 100%. So you wonder if he's going to be able to keep up with his man on his route. So I do think there's going to be times where Matthew Stafford is going to be able to pick them apart and move the ball down the field, and he's going to be able to put up some points. Sean McVay, he has had Todd Bowles' number. The Rams have beat the Bucs in the last 2 matchups over the last 2 years, so they're comfortable playing this defense. So I do think they're going to find some success, but I do think, like I said earlier in this video, the loss of Whitworth is huge for me. I think Shaq Barrett is going to take over a couple times throughout the game and get at least 2 or 3 sacks, which ends drives. But they put up points. They can move the ball. I think they're going to get to 3 touchdowns at minimum. But I do think this is probably going to be a game that you got to get to 30 points in my opinion to win. Now, taking a look at the Bucks offense versus the Rams defense, the Bucks offense, they're kind of like the Rams, right? They're a pass first, pass heavy offense that really hasn't relied upon the run. Now, this past season, they put up 405.9 yards a game, which is second best in the NFL. Now, their rushing yards per game, 98.4. That's only 26 in the NFL. But, they had their moments where Leonard Fournette would help take over. Leonard Fournette, from what I've been hearing, he's on track to play. He obviously needs to be activated off the IR tomorrow for that to be confirmed that he will be playing. So if he's back in the lineup, that's going to help their rushing attack. But you got to give credit, though. Keyshawn Vaughn looked good last week, as well as Giovanni Bernard. So Fournette would obviously add another element. He's obviously a bigger body presence. You don't have to lean on him too much with how Keyshawn Vaughn and Giovanni looked last week, too. And they could do a three-headed attack to try to improve that rushing attack and help open up things for Brady. Passing yards per game, 307.6. Obviously, that's best in the league. And then the Bucks put up 30.1 points a game, which is second best in the NFL. So, yeah, that's why I'm saying the Rams offense is going to probably have to get to 30 points to win this game. And how I view this is it's going to be interesting to see what the Rams exactly do, because the Bucks offense is not what it was earlier this season. They have lost to people like I keep on mentioning. So I think we're going to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans. Maybe they slide him and try to help him deal with Gronkowski too throughout the game. I could see, if I was a defensive coordinator looking at this offense as far as trying to slow down the passing attack, I would definitely stick Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans for most of the game. And then what I would do is I would try to get Levante or Sean Murphy Bunting in with a safety, maybe kind of over on top a couple times, and try to double team Gronk, and then really force the other guys to step up. So whether it is a Tyler Johnson, a Scotty Miller, a Jalen Darden, a Cameron Braid, or OJ Howard, I would try to eliminate Gronk and Mike Evans and make those guys beat you as far as in the passing attack, and do your best to make sure you're keeping that running game in check. And then obviously what the Rams would need to do is win their matchups. So like I mentioned, if Wirfs is out or if he is less than 100%, attack that weakness and try to get early pressure on Brady. Obviously have Aaron Donald do Donald things, and if they can get early pressure on Brady, that can get that offense out of rhythm, and that can favor them in this matchup. But with that being said, I still think with this being in Tampa, I think, it's Tom Brady. I'm never going to count against him in the playoffs. So even though I think there's a recipe to success for this Rams defense to give the Buccaneers fits on Sunday, I do think the Buccaneers are going to put up points, and I think Brady's going to find a quarter or two where he's really hot and they get through that 4 touchdown mark at least. I think this is going to be a very high scoring, barn burner type of shootout. A lot of fireworks, a lot of cannon fire there in the Raymond James Stadium. I do think that we're going to see a lot of action in this game. I think it's going to be a back and forth battle. I could see the Bucks starting off hot, then the Rams getting hot in the second quarter. Both teams kind of trading touchdowns in the third, and then it's going to get into the fourth quarter. And what it's going to come down to is it's going to, I think, come down to who can create a timely turnover in the fourth quarter. Is it going to be Shaq Barrett taking advantage of that matchup, coming off and hitting Matthew Stafford for a fumble, or forcing him to throw a really bad throw that results in an interception? Is it going to be, Von Miller or Aaron Donald blowing up the pocket and collapsing on Brady for a big timely sack? Maybe he fumbles the ball. He's really good at protecting the ball, so it is kind of hard for me to imagine Brady coming up with a bad turnover in the late in the game. But it has happened. I think with that Eagles Super Bowl when Brandon Graham, I believe, got him for a forced fumble to help end the game. So so maybe that's how they can do it. I'm really having a tough time, guys. If you couldn't tell, I was kind of carrying out my last sentence because I know I'm at the point of my video where I need to pick a winner. And man, I can see the Bucks winning. I can see the Rams winning. I'm going back and forth on it. Sean McVay has had his number, but then it's Tom Brady, right? Man, I really do think, though, if Wirfs ends up getting ruled out, I think that's going to kind of lean towards the Rams. But I can't go against Brady in the playoffs, man. And I've always said, the regular season, not always said, I said this last week, The regular season shows it shows you 17, used to be 16, 17 examples of what a team could be at their highest and at their lowest. And we've seen the Rams with those bad turnovers and from Matthew Stafford, and lay some stinkers at some times throughout the season. While we've seen the Bucs, they had their moments where they had bad games, but they've been pretty steady Eddie, even though they've had to deal with drama and injuries throughout the year. I'm gonna say Brady gets the Bucs in a field goal position to win the game. It's a 31-31 game, and their kicker puts it through the uprights. Bucs win 34-31. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Tampa Bay. So yeah, I got the Bucs winning the game. So I know my good friend Robert Robinson, if he was watching this video, is probably really upset I pick against his Rams. But I think Rob's got to understand I can't bet against the Tom Brady led team. So yeah, with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed that video or this video, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with all my latest content. I got one more preview video coming for you guys tonight. I will be doing the Bills and Chiefs game once everything gets uploaded and posted for this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I'll talk to you guys soon. So peace out.